Alrighty, right. Hey, what is up, guys? Welcome to Minds Behind the Music. I am your host, LA. Here with me is my good friend Greg.
Oh,
How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Same here. Now, before I get started, just know that in the next few months, you will be seeing. I will be posting the audio versions of the podcast onto SoundCloud. So keep on the lookout for that. I will send the link in the description when I get done with those. So today's article is pertaining to my favorite Beatle, or one of my favorite musicians of all time, Paul McCartney. Because if some of you know, he released his new album, McCartney 3. And I gotta say, it's a pretty good album. I think production is stellar. Performances they're not like over the top or anything like that, but they're enjoyable performances, and they're very for McCartney level, it's very good, but nothing out of the ordinary. I don't know if you got the chance to listen to it, Greg, but if you haven't, I would definitely suggest you do. It's a pretty good album.
I haven't listened to anything Paul McCartney in years, so it'll be a while. Give me some time. I got a lot of things to do.
No worries. So, but this is an article specifically published by the New York Post. It is called, let me get it right here. Paul McCartney lands first #1 album in 31 years.
In 31 years.
Mm-hmm. That must be since this was still published in 2020. I would say he hasn't had a #1 album since 1989. No, I don't think either of us were born that year either.
No.
Nope.
But in 31 years, I mean, that's what would that be considered an accomplishment? After
Yeah.
31 years of not being in the Beatles, you now got I mean, just saying from my end, just doesn't make any sense to me, but okay.
Yeah. That's I mean, the Beatles broke up when 1970, correct? Yeah.
Yeah, they broke up in the 70s.
Yeah, 1970, I believe.
Mhm.
Let's get into it. I think this is a short article, so we'll read through it and we'll give our opinion on just the article in general. Just a heads up, this article is published by Lee Brown, and let's get into it. Sir Paul McCartney is doing a happy dance after his new album topped in the Billboard charts and landed him his first #1 in his native Britain for the first time in 31 years. And in Britain, that's quite. And I gotta say, like, from being in the UK, their their musical variety is a little better than ours. I personally think I'm not saying we don't have musical variety, because we do, but I feel like there's a lot more horizons that are expanded in the UK.
Mhm.
The Beatles legend posted a clip of him dancing using a filter that showed 3 of him watching the title of matching the title of his album, McCartney 3. That feeling when your album goes #1 on the US Billboard Top Album Sales chart, the Beatles legend wrote it with the clip. Macca beat Taylor Swift's Evermore to the top spot in what Billboard said was the biggest sales week for a rock album by a solo artist since his own Egypt station 2 years ago, Billboard said. Oh, here come the boomers. Let's rejoice. The boomers are just rejoicing, being like, "Oh yeah, Taylor Swift, she can get out of here. My generation has the best music." But
Yeah, that's usually the things that happen on them.
yeah, and then we also got the kids that were born in the wrong generation, claiming that, "Oh, I'm so glad this happened. We don't get good things happening to us." But
Just a bunch of hipsters just saying, "Well, this is trendy for a little bit
mhm.
till the next stupid thing that is trending," because people are just I don't know, man. That's why I just step back from all of that because I mean, just people are either just in their feelings about it, and or they're just I don't think it's about the music anymore. I think it's just about who's trending, and who's not. Like, I guess the problem with the music industry is that, well, with a lot of oversaturation of just certain genres, there's not a lot of variety here, as you said. And
Mhm.
it's just more or less like, okay, where is the variety in all of this? Where are we kind of going? Because I mean, for me, quite honestly, I thought, Paul McCartney retired from it, but I mean, I knew he was still playing, but I thought he was just like completely gone, just retired. So just for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna continue. He had similar success in the UK, giving a big thank you to everyone as he showed off his number one trophy after topping the chart there, the first time since 1989's "Flowers in the Dirt," chart officials said. And I believe that was it for the article. So
Mhm.
yeah, basically, I look at this as another example of like, yeah, like it's looked at in two ways. Like people are seeing like, yeah, this is like a old dude, still being hip and young with the music of today, and still being popular as the music of today and the young musicians of today. But you could also look at it as this dude just knows how to make music. This dude's been in the industry long enough to know how to be successful with his music. So it doesn't even have to do with the generational differences. It just has to do with what he knows in the industry and the skills that he has. And like I said, this I've listened to every song on that album. I listened to the whole album through, and I was pretty impressed. I was even more impressed with Egypt Station. Like, I'm not to say that Egypt Station was a bad album, but I felt like the production was a lot more made McCartney 3 a lot more enjoyable than
Mhm.
Egypt Station. And
Mhm.
like I said, the performances aren't too over the top. There's no, like, shredding or anything like that for any of, the glamsters out there or the glam metal people out there. There's no shredding or anything like that if you're coming looking for that. But there's still enjoyable performances on that album. And
I mean, I'll say this: as long as Paul McCartney did something that was better than that god awful Christmas song that he made, I think I'm cool with that. I
um,
mean, this whole December, it was either Mariah Carey or his god awful Christmas time song.
yeah, Michael
God,
Bublé.
I swear to God,
Hang
that
on my
song
mic.
just I wish that was never made. I mean, I
Mhm,
mean, the chords to it are good, but the lyrics to it are just god awful. I mean, Paul
mhm.
McCartney, what were you thinking?
Yeah, it's not one of his best songs. I will agree with that. I'm not saying it's a bad song, but it's definitely I think even for Paul McCartney's standards, it can be an underwhelming tune,
Mhm.
but I guess it's the same could be said with a lot of other Christmas tunes, like, it could either be really complex with its lyricism or just not at all, just talk about enjoying Christmas, which
Yeah.
I guess it fits the bill.
I mean, I would I expected that song to be at least in, what was it? Sergeant Pepper. That sounds like one of those songs that was just rejected from Sergeant Pepper because it wasn't too weird enough.
It might have been. It's just like, George Harrison's All Things Must Pass, like, a good portion of that album is just rejected songs that he was gonna give to the Beatles,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna have a look at McCartney 3 to completely go over the set list of that album. I don't think I'll get blocked for bringing up the names, but if I do, well, I'll try something else. But Um, there's I this is just like a short review of the album itself. Uh, they got Long-Tailed Wintered Bird, which is basically like a semi-instrumental because you do hear some vocals. You hear him singing at two parts of the song, like near the beginning and near the end. It's mostly just like an acoustic instrumental. And then we got Find My Way, which is it's like one of his like catchy like pop rock tunes,
Mhm.
which it's definitely decent. And then we got one of his acoustics that I think this is one of my favorite songs off the album, Pretty Boys. It's I haven't analyzed the lyrics, which I might save, which if I do, I'm gonna save that for another video, but I think it's a nice sounding tune, great acoustics. I think the acoustic guitar on this album, I don't know, it sounds like a Gibson that he's playing. I don't know what specific acoustic guitar he's playing, but it's to me, it sounds like a Gibson, and a lot of the Gibson guitars or a lot of the Gibson acoustic guitars have a very warm sound and like a really like not deep low end, but a good low end,
Yeah.
even like for an acoustic guitar. And that's one of the big highlights of that album that I really liked was the way the acoustic guitar sounded. I would love to see how, or I'd love to hear how they mic'd it or how they recorded the acoustic guitars because they got an excellent sound for that guitar.
Mhm.
And they got Women and Wives. That's a nice tune. I think the lyrics are a little cheesy,
Mhm.
but I think that I think the what do you call it? It's a very good like instrumentally sounding song. And we got Lavatory Lil, I think it's pronounced. It's I don't remember too much of that song. It's a fairly short song. It's like 2.5 minutes. Then we got Deep Deep Feeling, which is very strongly instrumentally oriented, and it's just more focused on the sounds, which is pretty cool. Then we got Slidin', that's one of his other rock and roll tunes that I really enjoyed. Slidin' is another good song from his. Nothing like too over the top, but it was still like a nice rock tune. And we got another favorite of mine. It's an acoustic. Like if you know his acoustic songs like Yesterday, Blackbird, like those kind of acoustic songs.
Mhm.
And if you enjoy those acoustic songs, you will probably enjoy The Kiss of Venus. Like it's it's very cleverly written too. Like it has really good chord progression. It has very clever lyrics to it. I can't I can't overanalyze these songs because I haven't done enough research on them. And we got Seize the Day. That's I think he plays on a Rhodes. Yeah, I think there's a Fender Rhodes that he plays on that, which I love the sound of those keyboards. And that's another favorite of mine because I think it's another example of how the production makes the performance stand out more. And we got Deep Down. That's a I'm definitely gonna look over these songs again because I don't have too much to explain about them. But the last song is Winter Bird slash When Winter Comes, which is basically it's a reprise of the long-tailed winter bird. Like the intro is that acoustic hook that he plays on long-tailed winter bird, and then the song is When Winter Comes, which is like a nice little acoustic song about like just taking care of your farm because I know Paul McCartney had a farm when he was younger. I don't know if he still does. I don't really know much about what McCartney does now besides still make music and still perform, which is amazing because believe he's the same age as my grandmother.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure Paul McCartney's the same age as my grandmother, but um, when winter, yeah, but it's definitely an album I recommend. The performances, like I said, aren't too over the top. Um, the lyrics are hit and miss. I think they're more hit than miss. There are a few of the songs in which I'm not crazy about lyrically, and but overall, I think the production's magnificent, like good, even like exceptionally good for a Paul McCartney album,
Mhm.
and I think that I would still recommend it. I wouldn't say it's up there with Venus and Mars or um, Band on the Run, the Wings albums, but I think that it's still a really enjoyable Paul McCartney album. I I wouldn't even say it's as good as McCartney 2, but it's still up there. It's still pretty good, and I'd still recommend people listen to it. And I'm not just saying this because he's my favorite Beatle, but it's a fairly enjoyable album. But do you have anything else you'd want to say about it, Greg, or do you want to say about McCartney?
No, no, man. I think I'm good with trying to say something about McCartney, man. Because I mean, for starters, I haven't really listened to McCartney in God knows how long. So for me to say anything about McCartney, I mean, hey, good on him that he got number one. As long as I don't have to listen to Christmas time, at least that's good enough for me.
Yeah. I think I'm just done with the Christmas music. That was the only big con of Christmas time, of, like, during that holiday season, was just going, like, through just hearing the Christmas music again, hearing Mariah Carey's song, hearing McCartney's song, hearing Michael Bublé over and over and over again, because I know it gets jarring, especially for retail workers. But
That's all I got, man.
alright. Yeah, other than that, like, that's I'm really glad McCartney got a new number 1 album. You guys should definitely check it out. I've already said this, I've gone on records, and a lot of people that know me know that McCartney's one of my, like, he's not just my favorite Beatle, he's one of my biggest music inspirations, both in songwriting and in playing the bass. Like, a lot of people know him as a songwriter and know him as one of the members of the Beatles, and he's I I would say that he's definitely he's definitely been a huge inspiration in my music and my bass playing as well. Like, if you ever heard a lot of the early Beatles work, his music is definitely his music has definitely been a big part of my playing, and a lot of big inspiration. He's influenced a lot of other players too, almost all the players that came after him. And I know a lot of people will say, like, "Oh, he's not really a bass player. He's just like he's a guitarist that plays bass and all that other stuff." But again, that's another argument for another video. So I'll get into that another time. Guys, like, comment, share, and subscribe if you want to see more article reviews and just stuff about McCartney or anyone else in general. Um, Definitely give me suggestions if you want me to talk about any articles or talk about any musicians. You want me to add my 2 cents in? I'm totally up for it. But guys, that's it for now. I'll see you guys later, and as always, stay tuned.
All right.